Okay, good evening. Huh? Uh, this is going to be a session on political science. Okay, and keeping in mind the English medium students. We are going to have a similar webinar on Pol Science in Marathi on coming Sunday. Okay, but don't worry, I am going to follow a bilingual format, primarily speaking in English, but also taking help of Hindi as well as Marathi. You don't worry about that. Let me welcome all of you once again on behalf of the Unique Academy, and let us get started. As you could read on the board, the title of today's webinar is PSIR Topper's Choice, a question mark. Okay. Now, there is no doubt if you check out the profile of optionals of the selected candidates as far as civil services examination is concerned for more than 3-4 decades. Okay, especially as far as last 2 decades are concerned, Pol Science would stand out as one of the popular, so to say, optionals which has been chosen by the aspirant. I hope I'm audible. Hello? माझा आवाज येते का? Am I audible? एकदा चेक
Yes,
करते
sir.
ना.
Yes, yes, sir. Yes. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, so let me repeat whatever I stated in last couple of minutes. A very good evening to all of you, and let me welcome all of you on behalf of the Unique Academy. We are going to have a special session on Pol Science. The short form, the popular short form is PSIR. But if you look at the long form, Pol Science, and political science, international relations. And the title is sort of a bit attractive, Topper's Choice, a question mark. If we check out the history of last 3-4 decades, as far as the track record of Pol Science as an optional, so this stands out certainly as one of the preferred optionals selected by the toppers, not only aspirants, but importantly the toppers. Okay, but let us keep aside that and get started with the features of the subject called as the political science and international relations. Okay. I also stated right in the beginning that Pol Science, sociology, anthropology, geography, history, and maybe certain technical subjects which are preferred by the aspirants and the toppers. But ultimately, what matters as far as an optional is concerned, your interest in the given subject, and no doubt your background as well, but we'll look into that. Don't worry about that. The guidance and the study material. Okay, these are very important primary fundamental elements which need to be available. We look into that. And I'll once again repeat it. This is going to be in English medium, but I'll be eventually speaking in Hindi as well as Marathi. And we are going to have a similar webinar in Marathi. That is those students who are going to prepare for UPSC Civil Services examination with Pol Science as their optional. But with Marathi as their medium. म्हणजे त्याच्यासाठी एक वेगळा पॉल सायन्स हा येणाऱ्या रविवारी आपला वेबिनार असणारच आहे म्हणजे. Now I am going to divide this presentation of a sort into certain points. Okay. Now the first one. Is it a topper's choice? The answer is undoubtedly positive. Yes. But what are the reasons responsible for that? Okay. So the first reason is guidance available for Pol Science. Okay. Here in Maharashtra, as well as okay, in different places. The second one, which is very, very important, is the study material. Okay. And I'm very proud to share this, that this is the 20th year of the establishment of Unique Academy. And right from 2007, that is our first result, Miss Sheetal Ugle, with Marathi as her medium. And in those days, there used to be two optionals for in UPSC mains examination. So she happens to be our first Pol Science students, and she wrote 3 mains. In first 2 mains got selected as an IRS, and in her last mains, okay, her rank was All India 27th. Became IS obviously, okay, coming from the general category. So that is how our journey at Unique Academy Pune began as far as the track record of Pol Science is concerned. She got 340 plus, 360 plus, and in her last attempt, the score was 366. But obviously, in those days, in the old format, optional used to be for 600 marks, not 500 marks. Today, the format is very, very different one. And then till last year, I can name Manoj Patil, okay, yani ki 2025 CSE, Civil Services Examination. The results came out this year, and he secured 273 marks in political science. And as far as the 2 decades, that is the journey of Unique Academy is concerned, barring 3-4 years, for the remaining 17 to 16 years, the topper from Unique Academy always has been the political science topper. Okay. And as far as the study material is concerned, we have got very detailed and elaborate notes. Then this is something which I want to show you. These are 3 volumes. That is political science through question and answers. Okay. So this volume pertains to section A of paper 1. This is the second volume, which covers political science paper 1, the section B, which is usually known as IGP, Indian Government and Politics. Okay. Then we have a third volume, which covers section A of political science paper 2. My simple point is, as far as study material is concerned, we are very proud, okay, as part and parcel of the Unique Academy and as one of the teachers. My colleague Pankaj Vatte teaches Pol Science paper 2 as far as English medium is concerned. And for Marathi, so I teach paper 1, and my colleague PD Chavan sir teaches the second paper. Okay, this is how we have been taking it forward. इंग्रजीमध्ये पण एकदम दर्जेदार संदर्भ साहित्य उपलब्ध आहे आणि मराठीमध्ये पण. So this is another very important reason as to why Pol Science happens to be the topper choice. The third thing, okay, the track record. This is also equally important. In what sense? In securing good score. Okay. I can share number of names. Trupti Dodnise madam, she stood 16th All India rank AIR in 2018. Okay. In her previous attempts, she had secured just 213 score. But when she got selected, okay, she secured 313. A leap of 100 marks. Okay. You can check out her speech on YouTube and get to know as to how did exactly this transition happen from 213, 213 se 313, 313. Now she had approached us in her last attempt. So we had provided notes. In those days, these volumes were not available. Okay, the volumes were released in 2021 and then onwards. Okay. Yes, my simple point is track record as far as securing marks, securing score is concerned. So again, I'll get back to UPSC record of last 2 decades. So invariably, Pol Science toppers 3-4 years back, when UPSC used to give score more than 300, so 315, 320, 327, so on and so forth. And you can check out, there are certain, words by our toppers. And Dinesh Gurau, who got 160 rank, got IAS in 2016. Okay. He secured 323 in political science. Okay, you can check out that. Okay. So as far as the third point is concerned, you shouldn't be worried about that. Now, it is because of this that you have something called as the legacy of, I'll repeat that point. Okay, guidance, not only from teachers like us, yeah, institutions, but guidance by the toppers. This is also a very important point. So as and when aspirants get selected with Pol Science as their optional and secure good score, then it is something which encourages the new aspirant. Okay, and they share their journey, the toppers share their journey, okay, as to how did they approach Pol Science, what kind of difficulties did they face, so on and so forth. So I guess these are four very important reasons because of which Pol Science has been one of the toppers' choice, okay, among the 4 or 5 optional subjects. So this is the first one. Now let us take it forward. The second point. Now, if this is so, then let us look into as to what is mean by PSIR, क्योंकि ये ज्यादा इंपॉर्टेंट है आपके लिए. बाकी ठीक है, उसका ट्रैक रिकॉर्ड अच्छा हो बुरा हो, लेकिन we are look new students, we are really thinking about the optional. So please tell us about that. Okay, let us split this into 2 parts. So let us try to very briefly understand what is PSIR. Yeah, we can replace with another very colloquial word often used by us. What is politics? Okay. And the B, I'll write it here so that we can get enough space. Okay. What is the scope of this syllabus? Sorry, scope of the subject Pol Science. Now, as far as this aspect is concerned, this is the core as far as any optional is concerned. So if we are talking about sociology, history, geography, so on and so forth, the first thing which comes to our mind is to get to know as to what is mean by that. So what is mean by Pol Science? And generally, the one word which is used by students to describe, तो एक तो ये short form है PSIR, ये दूसरा popular usually जो use किया जाता है वो है politics. Okay, so I'm using the word politics to describe PSIR. Okay, not something that is not only something which political parties are into it, the pressure groups are into it, we are also part of that. Not in that narrow sense that I'm going to use the term politics, but rather I'm going to use term politics in its broader sense of the term. That is a discipline, a subject, that is your optional. Okay, now what is it? I'm going to write down certain points so that you can make better sense of that. Now, Pol Science as a subject, okay, studies systematically how we organize our collective life. In a very simple sense, how we organize our collective life. How do we do that? So the first thing about Pol Science as a subject, as a discipline, as an optional is this. What does it study? Okay, what does it do? What does it study as a discipline? So it systematically studies. So इसलिए बोला कि उसका subject matter क्या है? We study what? The way in which we organize our collective life. Now here we are not talking about individual life. Here we are not talking about personal life. Here we are not talking about the private life. The moment on this planet Earth, we have more than 2 individuals, more than 2 groups, but individuals, we are going to require the subject of Pol Science. Because the moment we get together and become a collectivity, a group, big group, okay, then it becomes very important as to how the members, one member okay, is attached to the other member, relates to the other member, and how are we going to place all the members of the collectivity or the group? In what way are we going to organize the relationship between the members of that collective life? Okay. Now, Plato, one of the famous ancient Greek philosopher, he answered this question in a particular manner. So let us get back to this. How we organize our collective life. We are discussing about not the personal private life, but we are discussing about the collective life, more than two individuals. That is, I'm repeating it once again. Number two, now Plato answered this question arguing that first of all, we should understand the very fact that human beings are known for some quality, natural ability, yeah, natural aptitude. And he used the word virtue to describe that innate ability of each individual. Okay, virtue, that is the virtue, predominant quality of human soul. That is what Plato argued. And then he went on to argue that if each one of us is known for some salient feature, some innate ability, natural aptitude, ये natural है, ये भी ध्यान रखिए, तो then we should follow that. Okay, now the first one that he identified as the one virtue. So he identified three such virtues. So first was appetite. Okay, appetite. The second was the spirit, yeah, courage. And the third was the reason. Now, the individual or the human being whose soul is known for the appetite, then Plato argued that individual needs to be in the scheme of that collectivity, a collective life, a producer, a farmer, a worker, because he has got what quality of soul, what virtue? Appetite. Now, appetite, what is appetite? Appetite का मतलब क्या होता है? आपको भूख लगली वाली है. वासना असा मराठीमध्ये पण शब्द आहे. So appetite needs to be what? Needs to be fulfilled. Otherwise, it would be very, very difficult for that concerned person. So appetitive souls need to be made producers, farmers, workers. So whether it is a farmer, whether it is a worker, whether it is an artisan, all of them produce something. Say, for example, farmers produce food grain that we consume as a basic stuff. Artisans produce instruments which are used in agriculture and for other purposes as well. Okay, workers also make so many things which are useful for all of us. So the creation, that production, the function production is very important. So that is how Plato argued that those who have appetitive element should be made producers, should be made farmers. Now, the second quality that Plato talks of is, that is quite interesting, spirit and courage. Now, those who are courageous should be made, now you can take the hunch, the soldiers. Matlab, they have to play the role of safeguarding and securing the society. यानी कि जिनके पास करेज होगा, जिनके सोल का प्रिडोमिनेंट क्वालिटी करेज होगा, स्पिरिटेड उनका सोल होगा, है ना, तो उनको क्या करना चाहिए? सोल्जर्स, यानी कि आपकी समाज की रक्षा करना चाहिए. ओके, और तीसरा आता है रीजन. Those souls, those individuals whose soul is known for reason, rationality, यानी कि they can think at deeper level and they can decide what is good and what is bad. Okay, then they should be made the rulers. I hope you got it. Okay, so while answering this very fundamental question that is studied in pol science as to how are we supposed to organize our collective life, okay, Plato answered, we should organize our collective life in such a way that each one of us, having one's own virtue, should be allocated a role which suits, which is consistent with one's own virtue. जिनका appetitive element है उनको producer बनना चाहिए, जिनका spirited courage ये वर्च्यू है, उनको सोल्जर्स बनना चाहिए, सैनिक बनना चाहिए, और जिनका रीजन एंड रैशनैलिटी वर्च्यू है, यानी कि नेचुरल एप्टीट्यूड है, तो उनको क्या बनना चाहिए? रूलर्स बनना चाहिए। सिंपल सी भाषा में, अकॉर्डिंग टू प्लेटो, द एक्ट ऑफ रूलिंग अ सोसाइटी, द एक्ट ऑफ रूलिंग अ सोसाइटी, द एक्ट ऑफ गवर्निंग अ सोसाइटी should be done only by those individuals who possess not the courage, who possess not the appetite, but who possess reason and rationality. यानी की जिनके पास विवेक है, मराठीमध्ये त्याला शहाणपणा असंही म्हटलेलं, विवेक आणि शहाणपणा. सो जिनके पास वो विजडम है, अगर रीजन आपके सोल का फीचर है, तो वर्च्यू क्या बनता है? तो वो वर्च्यू बनता है विजडम. So reasoned soul and wise soul, they should be given the task of responsibility of governing the society. अब फिर से उसी तरफ जाते हैं. So this is how Plato, while answering this question as to how should we organize our collective life, he argues that only reasoned people, that is people, individuals with reason, rationality and wisdom as their virtue, should be made rulers, should be made governed. Now, आज के जमाने में क्या है हमारा, देखिए, as far as India is concerned, India adopted democracy, and democracy, as we know, is a rule of people, rule for the people, and rule by the people. So modern democracies, including Indian democracy, been indirect in nature and representative in nature. So we as people elect our representative and we run the nation, the democratic edifice, through our representative. That makes our democracy not direct, but it is indirect in nature. Okay. So this is how, now as far as present Indian case, at least from 15th of August 1947 onwards, yeah, to be very specific, 26th of January 1950 onwards, we have been organizing our collective life in a democratic manner, as per the democratic functioning. Okay, so every 5 years, we elect our government. Okay, the party which is in majority, yeah, alliance of party which is in majority, which secures majority, run the government for 5 years. Then we go for another round of general elections, both to Lok Sabha as well as the Vidhan Sabha. And this is how we have found out, we have adopted democracy as one particular way of organizing our collective life. लेकिन प्लेटो का कहना कुछ अलग था. उन्होंने कहा कि ऐसा नहीं होना चाहिए. किन लोगों को रूलिंग का अधिकार देना चाहिए या रूलिंग का रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी सौंपना चाहिए? तो उनको ही देना चाहिए जिनके पास विवेक है, जिनके पास रीजन है, जिनके सोल का वर्च्यू यानी प्रिडॉमिनंट क्वालिटी यानी की वर्च्यू विजडम, मराठीमध्ये त्याला शहाणपणा असं म्हटलेलं आहे. म्हणजे ओके, नाउ this is quite interesting. This is quite interesting. Now, if you ask the same question to Gandhi ji, and in Paul sense we have Gandhi as one of the modern Indian political thinkers, तो वो क्या कहेंगे? तो हम सबको उसका आंसर पता है. If you ask a question to Gandhi ji as a modern political thinker, how should we organize our collective life? How should we organize our collective life? तो गांधी बोलेंगे डेमोक्रेसी होना चाहिए क्या? तो बिल्कुल होनी चाहिए. No doubt about that. So whenever we talk of Panchayati Raj, then we are reminded of Gandhi ji, decentralization of political power as well as economic power. So Gandhi was undoubtedly for democratic way of organizing our collective life. लेकिन उसमें और भी एक बात थी. That is what, and all of us are aware of that, satyagraha. So how should we organize our collective life? Okay, our individual life, but also our collective life, by following the principle called as, the value called as, the norm called as satyagraha. And therefore, while understanding Gandhism, Gandhi's political thought, we cannot avoid, cannot neglect the core idea of Gandhi and core idea of Gandhism, so to say, that is a satyagraha. We will look into that. So let us conclude this. Pol science as a subject studies this very fundamental process. And what is that? How should we organize our collective life? अब ये आपको पता है. Now, if you check out the modern human history of modern period, say 16th, 17th century onwards, we are talking about Europe. Then in Europe, in 15th and 16th and 17th century, the state that existed, that state, those states were monarchical, यानी कि monarchy, and those monarchies were absolute monarchies. So who used to rule the societies? We can broadly say from 15th to 18th century. Yeah, we can even extend to the 19th century. We are talking about Europe. The monarchs, the kings and the queens ruled the society. Broadly, I'm putting it in a very general sense. And those monarchies justified their rule, their right to rule the society on the basis of an idea which is known as the divine origin theory. What was that concept? Divine origin theory. Uska matlab ye hai, the state is created by God. The head of the state, monarch, king ya queen, especially king, is created by God, or rather, the king happens to be somebody who has sent on the earth by the God himself. That is called as a divine. So obviously, once they say that the state is created by God and the king, queen happens to be the representative of the God, then the authority of the state, the power of the state becomes divine in nature. And whatever commands the state issues, whatever laws, whatever policies, whatever decisions the state takes, we as the subject of the state, we are supposed to follow that. We were not allowed to question that. I hope you got it. So this is called as divine rights theory in pol science. So we had monarchies, the European societies had monarchies in 15th century, in 16th century, in 17th century. So in those days, the collective life in Europe was organized in a monarchical manner. But then if we proceed further in the European history one by one, now 1688 glorious revolution in England, when English people revolted against the monarchy in England, which was absolute in character, and they demanded transfer of power from the monarchy to the parliament. And that is how a very important development happened in England towards the establishment of accountable, responsible state and subsequently a democratic state. Because parliament, now parliament kaise banne wala tha? The representatives of the people. So kiski satta substantially ली गई, was taken away and then transferred to another institution. So राजा की सत्ता निकाल के किसको दी गई? Parliament को दी गई. And parliament was to be constituted by the people, okay, of their representative. So that was responsible and accountable structure. अब उसको बोला जाता है glorious revolution of England. ये GS में भी आप पढ़ोगे modern Indian history में. Okay. The another very famous development of the 18th century, all of us know that, the French Revolution, 1789. What happened in France? The monarchy, okay, of the Bourbon, dynasty, the Louis. So the monarchical state was brought down. The people, commoners, revolted against the monarchy, and they declared to establish a republican form of state in France, and वो नारा तो हम सबको पता है, guaranteeing या providing for a new order having liberty, equality, and fraternity. So this was a very important development in transition of the monarchical state into modern, responsible, accountable, and democratic state. तो अगर उसको हमने कट शॉर्ट किया तो हम पता चलेगा कि once upon a time, for a long time, in 15th, 16th, and 17th century, we had monarchical setup to organize our collective life. But 19th century onwards, now we are in 19th century. 19th century onwards, okay, the manner in which we started organizing our collective life, that manner changed. It changed first in Europe, but what was our hal in 19th century? Indian people का हाल क्या था? So we were part of colonial rule in 19th century as well as till the middle of the 20th century. Okay, now let us focus on us in order to make better sense of this. And that would be the last explanation as far as the meaning is concerned. Now, in 18th century, in 19th century, and then till 15th of August 1947, 14th of August कहते हैं उसको. Okay, 47 तक. Now, around for more than 200 years, we were under colonial rule. So our collective life was not organized by us and the way in which we wanted to organize, but rather somebody else came here. They came as traders, the British East India Company. They took advantage of the internal fragmentation within the Indian society, and slowly, steadily, they won over all principalities, Raja, Maharajas from our society, our system. And then on the other hand, they also fought against the other trading companies, the Dutch, the Portuguese, the Spanish, the French, so on and so forth. Okay. And then ultimately at the fag end of 18th century, so 1765 is very important. 1773 is very important, but 1765. So वहां से लेकर 1857 के रिवोल्ट तक कंपनी का रूल था. So it was the company rule as part of the colonial regime, yeah, colonial system, and the British East India Company decided almost everything about the collective life of Indian people, Indian society in 18th century and till the middle of the 19th century. अब 1857 के रिवोल्ट के बाद होता क्या है? The power shifts from the British East India Company to the British Crown, जिसको रानी का जाहिरनामा बोला जाता है. विक्टोरिया रानी का जो 1858 का फिर एक्ट बनता है, सॉरी डिक्लेरेशन है, और 1861 का एक्ट बनता है. सो 1857 रिवोल्ट, देन 1858 रानी का वो डिक्लेरेशन आता है, एंड देन वी हैव एन एक्ट ऑफ 1861. तो 1857 के बाद ब्रिटिश ईस्ट इंडिया कंपनी का रूल चला जाता है और ब्रिटिश क्राउन एंड ब्रिटिश पार्लियामेंट का डायरेक्ट रूल हमारे ऊपर आता है. अब हमारा कलेक्टिव लाइफ बदला है. सो हु हैज स्टार्टेड टेकिंग डिसीजंस रिगार्डिंग आवर कलेक्टिव लाइफ? तो वो ले रहे थे. अगेन इट वाज अ कॉलोनियल रेजिम, कॉलोनियल पॉलिटिकल सिस्टम. बट जैसे धीरे धीरे हमें ये पता चल रहा था, दिस इज नॉट ओनली अ फॉरेन रेजिम, but this is a colonial and deeply exploitative political system. Okay, we got to know about so many modern ideas from them, and as and when we realized the exploitative character of the regime, we started mobilizing ourselves as Indian people, and that is how the birth of nationalism takes place in 19th century. Now, typically, as part of the nationalist history, we study rise of nationalism and the national movement in Indian context as a moderate phase, the extremist phase, and the Gandhian phase. Okay, typically, that's a very typical way of looking at the national movement in India, या India's freedom struggle. अब धीरे 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 हम मोबिलाइज होना शुरू की. That was very much part and parcel of our endeavor, our attempt to change the manner in which our collective life, our public life was regulated and controlled by the colonial powers. We fought for that. So moderates के phase में तो Swaraj was not an objective, but in extremist phase, Swaraj becomes one of the very important, rather the important goal of the National Congress. So चतुसूत्री उसका बोला जाता है. Swaraj becomes the goal, then the boycott, the strategy, then the Swadeshi, okay, and the fourth one was the national education. So this was very much part and parcel of organizing our collective life. And then comes the Gandhian phase. We know for sure he employed satyagraha, okay, the non-cooperation movement of 1920, then civil disobedience movement of 30, Quit India movement of 1942. So this is how we can understand. Then so many missions, Cripps missions, then cabinet missions, and then establishment of the Constituent Assembly. Eventually, we as Indian people and India's national movement struggle against the colonial regime, we had begun to envision, imagine about our future. So what kind of society, what kind of nation state we wanted to become? तो नेहरू कमिटी आपको शायद पता होगा, okay, which was established in the year 1928. Nehru means senior Nehru. under the chairmanship of Motilal Nehru. The committee, after around 1 year, submitted its report, and that committee very categorically in its report stated that we imagine of India as a democratic and republican state with a basket of fundamental rights. Okay, one right that Motilal Nehru committee is known for, and that's a very landmark achievement of Indian democracy and Indian constitution, that is the universal adult franchise. अब ये सब किसका हिस्सा है? Organizing our collective life. So we fought against the colonial regime. We started imagining ourselves. Okay, so we launched the movement. So many organizations, so many ideas and ideals, so many movements and agitations, and finally on 15th of August 1947, we gave the independence. This is also very much part and parcel of the subject of the political science, how we organize, we should organize our collective life. अब देखिए, every 5 years generally, as part of democracy, we hold elections. But we may not be happy with that. Even if we have the government which is elected by us, we keep on criticizing our government. Okay, because we can't guarantee that our own government, our elected government, elected by us, may stay accountable to and responsible to us. If the government is not doing that, we have to pressurize them. We have to agitate against them. We have to criticize them. We have to take matters to the Supreme Court. That is also very much part and parcel of the collective life. Okay, we can go on and on. Okay, but now I hope this is more than sufficient. I refer to Plato's answer to this process called as how should we organize our collective life. Okay, then I brought in Gandhiji, though briefly. Then we went back to colonial history of India, the company rule briefly, and then the British Crown's rule from 1858 to 1947. So this is a very important part and parcel of the subject matter of political science. Now, दूसरा एक उसमें ये भी हम देखते हैं, थोड़ा ये भी उसमें, and then I'll look into the scope of pol science as a subject. Okay. उसको थोड़ा रिपीट लगेगा, लेकिन उसको लिखते हैं. How should we organize our collective life systematic study of this process. किस प्रोसेस का सिस्टमैटिक स्टडी है? ये पहला जो प्रोसेस हमने कहा है उसका सिस्टमैटिक स्टडी पॉल साइंस में होता है. ओके, नाउ आप थोड़ा अलग तरीके से उसको देखते हैं. वी आर अ सोशल एनिमल. We cannot live in jungles and forests in isolation. Okay, and I'll repeat it once again. The moment we have more than two individuals, it becomes a collective life. It becomes a group. छोटा भी होगा ना तो वो group बनेगा. And as and when we have more than two individuals in a society, okay, as a group, though smaller, then it becomes very important to design the relationship between the two and more than two. More than two कहिए, दो नहीं कहते उसको, more than two कहते हैं. So say for example there are 100 people as a group. Then in what exact way, as part of the collective life, we are going to situate, we are going to place those 100 individuals? Are we going to divide them into 4-5 categories and going to place one set of individuals above all? No. If you do that, then the rest would revolt against that. Why is it that you are picking very few as part of a category, as part of a class, and then you are placing them above all of us? Now, during medieval period, in feudal societies, our society used to be divided into classes. Our society was divided into classes, and that too on the basis of birth-based identities. अब कास्ट सिस्टम वैसा ही था. पेट्रियार्की क्या है मुझे बताइए. Okay, now as part of patriarchal society, women as a class of individuals, women as a group of the society, they are always discriminated against. Okay, so that is a peculiarity of the patriarchy. So therefore, it becomes very, very important to look into how we organize our collective life. कैसे करते हैं हम? किसी को लिबर्टी देते हैं, किसी को नहीं देते हैं, किसी को डिस्क्रिमिनेटरी ट्रीटमेंट देते हैं, so on and so forth. That becomes very, very important. Okay, so how should we organize collective life? ये एक बात है. और जो भी उसका आंसर दिया जाएगा, अब प्लेटो ने कुछ उसका आंसर दिया तो प्लेटो की पढ़ाई हम करने वाले हैं. गांधी जी कुछ तो बोलते हैं उसके बारे में, उसकी पढ़ाई हम करने वाले हैं. आई टॉक्ड अबाउट colonialism in India in 18th century, 19th century, half of the 20th century. तो वो भी हम पॉल साइंस के सिलेबस में पढ़ने वाले हैं. पेपर 1 में आईजीपी का सिलेबस है, वो भी हम उसको देख लेते हैं. So these aspects are very, very important as far as the subject matter of Paul science is concerned. Fine. अब कलेक्टिव लाइफ के बारे में अगर हमें जानना है या कलेक्टिव लाइफ को हमें डिजाइन करना है, तो वी रिक्वायर, अब उसको थोड़ा सिंपल भी आप कर सकते हो, उस कलेक्टिव लाइफ को पब्लिक मैटर्स उसको बोलिए या पब्लिक इश्यूज उसको बोलिए. What do we deal with as student of Paul science? What do we deal with in subject matter of Paul science? तो आप बोलेंगे कि we deal with the public matters, we deal with the public issues. What issues, what questions, what challenges, what concerns do we deal with in the subject matter of Paul science? तो उसका एक आंसर है public matters. आपके घर में क्या हो रहा है, ये Paul science का subject matter नहीं है. Whatever you do at your individual level, at your personal level, okay, that is not primarily, fundamentally speaking, the subject matter of Paul science. Paul science as a subject is basically interested in the public affairs, public matters, public issues. Okay, the collective life. अब मैंने शब्द बदला है, उसका टर्म बदला है. अब if there is a collectivity, if there is a collection of people, then we need to arrange the relationship between them in a particular manner. Number one. Number two, if the matter is public, if the issue is public, if the issues are public, then we need what? Something called as public organization, yeah, public institution to settle, to decide the public matters. आप ये नहीं कह सकते ना कि look, this is the most eldest person from my family and let him her decide the matter. Now that may work within your family. Why should the other people who are not member of your family should listen to you? है ना? So this is how in Paul science as a subject matter, in order to deal with public matters and issues, an agency, an institution, an organization was evolved, which is known as public organization, which is known as the public institution. Okay, I'll write it down here. The name of that organization, थोड़ा उल्टा करते हैं उसको, उसका नाम क्या है? ये नाम है. What is that? The state. आपने पढ़ा होगा कि क्या है ये स्टेट है, वो थोड़ा उल्टा करके करके हम उस तरफ जा रहे हैं. Now, state is that institution in human society, human life, which what? Deals with the public matters, which regulates the public matters, which decides the public matters. So काम क्या है स्टेट का? गार्नर नाम के बहुत ही फेमस स्कॉलर है, उन्होंने पॉल साइंस का डेफिनेशन ही ऐसे दिया है. पॉल साइंस बिगिंस विथ स्टेट एंड एंड्स विथ स्टेट. पॉल साइंस का एक डेफिनेशन उसके आधार पर यह किया जाता है कि पॉल साइंस इज अ सब्जेक्ट विच स्टडीज द इंस्टीट्यूशन ऑफ स्टेट. पॉल साइंस का मतलब, ये पुरानी डेफिनेशन है. पॉल साइंस इज द सब्जेक्ट, पॉल साइंस इज अ डिसिप्लिन विच बिगिंस विथ स्टेट एंड एंड्स विथ स्टेट, जिसकी शुरुआत स्टेट से होती है और जिसका अंत भी स्टेट से होता है. ये आपको समझना चाहिए. If Paul science as a subject matter deals with collective matters, yeah, collective life, the public matters and public issues, not the private, not the personal, not the individual, not the family, but the public matters, then we require the public organization, public agency, public mechanism to deal with, to handle, to settle, to resolve these public matters, public issues. What is that organization? That organization is known as state. अब state as a human institution existed in ancient period. State also existed during the medieval period. जब आप कहते हो कि मुगल स्टेट था, है ना, तो वो मिडिवल स्टेट था. एंड ऐसे करके करके हम मॉडर्न पीरियड में आते हैं, तो कंपनी यानी कि कॉलोनियल स्टेट बोलते हैं. सो वन विंग ऑफ दैट इज द ब्रिटिश ईस्ट इंडिया कंपनीज रूल एंड द अदर was the British crowns, but it was a colonial state. And when did we get our own state, that is state of Indian people? 15th of August 1947. बाद में यानी कि कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन मेकिंग का उसी दौरान शुरू हुआ था. 49 वो कंप्लीट होता है. Then we start implementing the Constitution of India from 26th of January 1950. So a state institution is a very important subject matter of the Pol Science. That is the discipline of Pol Science. That is the subject of Pol Science. Okay. अब स्टेट का एक छोटा सा डेफिनेशन देखिए. व्हाट इज मीन बाय स्टेट? स्टेट इज दैट पब्लिक इंस्टीट्यूशन या पब्लिक ऑर्गेनाइजेशन या पब्लिक एजेंसी which takes decisions pertaining the public matters and the collective life. So who has the power? Which institution has the power to regulate, to control and take decisions about our collective life, यानी कि about all of us. यानी कि तो एक ही इंस्टीट्यूशन है, उसका नाम है स्टेट. और पॉल साइंस में उसकी बहुत ही सिस्टमैटिक पढ़ाई की जाती है. इसलिए गार्डनर बोलते हैं कि पॉल साइंस इज द स्टडी ऑफ स्टेट, begins with state and ends with state. Just one last explanation as far as this is concerned. Now we study state का मतलब क्या करते हैं? स्टेट का स्टडी सिस्टमैटिकली करते हैं, उसका मतलब क्या है? तो स्टेट का ओरिजिन कैसे हुआ ये पढ़ते हैं. एंड दिस इज अ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट सब्जेक्ट मैटर ऑफ पॉल साइंस. नाउ थिंक फॉर अ व्हाइल. If Pol Science is about collective life, organizing collective life, if Pol Science is about public matters and issues, then can we think of Pol Science without state? No. If we are talking about public matters, collective life, public issues, okay, then we are going to require the public organization, public institution, public mechanism, public structure to deal with this. और वो क्या है? तो उसका नाम है state. Okay. Now state, very at a primary level, state as an institution is that institution, political institution, which is supreme in a given society. And it has four elements. So one is the territory, the second is the population, the third is the government, and the fourth is the sovereignty. Okay, so this is a very important, rather the core, the central theme subject matter of Pol Science. अब उसका सिस्टमैटिकली स्टडी अगर पॉल साइंस में किया जाता है तो करते क्या है, कैसे पढ़ाई होती है स्टेट की? तो पहला है उसका ओरिजिन कैसे हुआ है. एंड आई विल जस्ट साइट आउट कपल ऑफ थियरीज अबाउट दैट, कॉन्सेप्ट्स अबाउट दैट. एरिस्टोटल, जिसको पॉल साइंस का फादर कहा जाता है, एरिस्टोटल वाज अ स्टूडेंट ऑफ प्लेटो. दैट एरिस्टोटल, द फादर ऑफ पॉल साइंस, propounded a very interesting theory about the origin of state. उन्होंने कहा कि state is a natural institution. What kind of institution is this? Natural. Evolve कैसे हुआ है वो? Origin कैसे हुआ है? Naturally हुआ है. अब ये एरिस्टोटल का कहना था. अब मैंने थोड़ी देर पहले आपको एक डिवाइन ओरिजिन थियरी के बारे में बताया. वो थियरी कहती है state is not a natural institution, but state is an institution which is created by God. अब दूसरी थियरी है जिसको बोला जाता है डिवाइन ओरिजिन थियरी ऑफ स्टेट. तीसरी थियरी जो 17th सेंचुरी में आती है, थॉमस हॉब्स, 17th सेंचुरी फेमस इंग्लिश फिलोसोफर. अगेन अनदर फेमस इंग्लिश फिलोसोफर फ्रॉम द सेम सेंचुरी, but the second half of the 17th century, John Locke, who is quite very well known for that glorious revolution. He conceptually, theoretically, philosophically justifies that glorious revolution, bloodless revolution in England. जहां पे हुआ क्या था? The power of absolute monarchy from England were transferred to the parliament, from unaccountable monarchy to accountable parliament. This was a very significant development in journey of the political system of Britain in evolution of democracy there, and also as far as evolution of state as a modern state is concerned. तो वो थॉमस हॉब्स, वो जॉन लॉक, उनका आर्गुमेंट ये था कि देखिए, स्टेट इज नीदर अ नेचुरल इंस्टीट्यूशन नॉर अ डिवाइन इंस्टीट्यूशन, बट स्टेट इज क्रिएटेड बाय ह्यूमन बीइंग। उन्होंने, अब देखिए, दो थियरीज नाकार दी, वो नेचुरल भी नहीं है और वो गॉड क्रिएटेड भी नहीं है, वो डिवाइन भी नहीं है, नीदर नेचुरल नॉर डिवाइन, बट इट इज अ मशीन, इट इज आर्टिफिशियली क्रिएटेड। मशीन का मतलब क्या होता है? मशीन इज समथिंग विच इज क्रिएटेड बाय अस। एआई तक आए हैं हम, आर्टिफिशियल इंटेलिजेंस वो मशीन है, एडवांस अभी रिसेंट मशीन वो जो हमने बनाई है, सॉर्ट ऑफ। ओके, सो इट इज अ मशीन। सो नेचुरल इंस्टीट्यूशन, डिवाइन इंस्टीट्यूशन एंड आर्टिफिशियली क्रिएटेड लाइक अ मशीन। अब कितने अलग अलग उसके थियोरीज या कॉन्सेप्ट्स है, तो ओरिजिन के बारे में उसको पढ़ना है हमें। दूसरा है व्हाट इज द नेचर ऑफ स्टेट। अब जो भी हमने थोड़ा सा डिस्कशन किया था, एरिस्टोटल के हिसाब से स्टेट केम इनटू बीइंग नेचुरली। उसका नेचर क्या है? अगर उस आप एरिस्टोटल से पूछोगे तो अरिस्टोटल ने बताया था कि स्टेट इज ए, उसका आंसर उसी से मिलता है कि नेचुरल इंस्टीट्यूशन है। वो नेचर का भी आंसर बता रहे हैं हमें कि ओरिजिन कैसे हुआ ये तो समझता है, लेकिन वो उसका नेचर क्या है। दूसरा भी उन्होंने बहुत ही इंपॉर्टेंट नेचर जो है स्टेट का नेचर, उन्होंने कहा कि स्टेट इज दैट काइंड ऑफ ह्यूमन एसोसिएशन, human institution, organization. I'm using this interchangeably, these words. Okay, so according to Aristotle, state is that association, that institution alone which ensures the highest moral development of the individual. वो सिंपल सी भाषा में एरिस्टोटल के लिए स्टेट खाली एक पॉलिटिकल इंस्टीट्यूशन नहीं था, उसका कैरेक्टर, उसका नेचर मॉरल भी था, मॉरल इथिकल। वो वैसे उस तरफ देखते हैं। सो गुड लाइफ, नाउ गुड लाइफ वाज द विजन ऑफ सोक्रेटिस, वाज द एम एंड गोल ऑफ प्लेटो एंड आल्सो एरिस्टोटल। गुड लाइफ की आइडिया तीनों ने बताई थी। आप इथिक्स में भी पढ़ोगे उसको, सोक्रेटिस का भी था, प्लेटो का भी था और एरिस्टोटल का था। लेकिन गुड लाइफ कैसे प्राप्त कर सकते हैं हम? हाउ कैन वी अचीव गुड लाइफ? एरिस्टोटल ने बोला, वी कैनॉट अचीव गुड लाइफ विदाउट द स्टेट। दैट टेल्स अस अ लॉट एज फार एज हिज अंडरस्टैंडिंग ऑफ स्टेट इज कंसर्न। वो दूसरा है, अगर आपने हॉब्स को पूछा, लॉक को पूछा आपने कि व्हाट अकॉर्डिंग टू यू इज द नेचर ऑफ स्टेट, वो बोलेंगे मशीन है। क्या है वो? नेचर भी पता चल रहा है हमें, व्हाट इज दैट। अब दूसरा उसमें भी आता है, John Locke especially. John Locke argued that human being created established state through social contract. That is a very interesting idea propounded by Thomas Hobbes, John Locke. Social contract उन्होंने किया, और contract में होता क्या है मुझे बताइए। जनरली we come together, we gather together, we hold discussion, exchange our views and we take a decision. Consensus से वो होता है। So Thomas Hobbes as well as John Locke, belonging to social contract tradition, they argued that state is created by human being through a social contract, through an agreement. Consensually हुआ है। किस चीज के लिए हुआ है? तो लॉक ने उसका आंसर दिया था, in order to preserve, in order to protect, in order to safeguard the three natural rights of human being. And those natural rights according to John Locke were: one, the right to life; second, the right to liberty; and the third, राइट टू प्रॉपर्टी। ये तीनों राइट्स जॉन लॉक के हिसाब से नेचुरल राइट्स थे। अब नेचुरल राइट्स का मतलब सिंपल सी भाषा में इनबॉर्न राइट्स है। नेचुरल ऑर्डर ने हमें दिए हैं वो राइट्स, हमें समाज ने यानी कि सोसाइटी ने नहीं दिए हैं, या स्टेट ने हमें वो राइट्स नहीं दिए हैं। उस राइट्स का सोर्स क्या है? नेचर, ह्यूमन नेचर, ह्यूमन पर्सनैलिटी इटसेल्फ हैपेंस टू बी द सोर्स ऑफ द राइट, लाइफ, लिबर्टी एंड प्रॉपर्टी। दिस इज वेरी वेरी इंटरेस्टिंग। ओके, अगर आपने गांधी जी को पूछा कि आपको क्या लगता है स्टेट के बारे में, आपका क्या ख्याल है, गांधी वॉज वेरी क्रिटिकल, डीपली क्रिटिकल। उनके शब्द देखिए, गांधी ने कहा, फॉर मी मॉडर्न स्टेट इज मैनिफेस्टेशन ऑफ ऑर्गेनाइज्ड वायलेंस। क्या है स्टेट? मॉडर्न स्टेट के बारे में बताते वो, मॉडर्न स्टेट इज मैनिफेस्टेशन ऑफ ऑर्गेनाइज्ड वायलेंस। It is a coercive machine. What kind of machine is it? Yes, it is a machine, but what kind of machine? Coercive. वो coerce करता है. It does not keep any initiative for the human being. Rather, the state imposes its will, its decisions, its laws, policies, so on and so forth on human being. यानी कि वो इंडिविजुअल को, ह्यूमन बीइंग को कोई इनिशिएटिव लेने का स्पेस ही नहीं रखता है। वो अपना निर्णय, अपना विल थोपता है। इसीलिए गांधी जी बोलते हैं मॉडर्न स्टेट इज अ कोर्सिव मशीन। इसीलिए तो गांधी जब कब कब याद आते हैं हमें? पंचायत राज बोलते हैं तो गांधी की याद आती है। तो व्हाट इज पंचायत राज? सिंपल सी भाषा में डिसेंट्रलाइजेशन ऑफ पावर। So Gandhi did not support a mega state, a monstrous state, a big state, a powerful state. Not at all. Rather, he looked at villages as republics. और उन्होंने क्या मॉडल, टॉप डाउन मॉडल बताया था गांधी जी ने? नहीं, उन्होंने बॉटम अप मॉडल बताया था। सो पंचायत समिति एट द ब्लॉक लेवल विल गेट पावर फ्रॉम द ग्राम सभास। अब उल्टा होता है ना, झेडपी shall gain power, receive power from ग्राम सभा एंड पंचायत समिति। झेडपी मिलेगा, विधानसभा को देगा पावर। अब क्या है, पंचायत, ग्राम पंचायत हो या पंचायत समिति हो या झेडपी हो, कहां उनको नजर लगा के बैठना पड़ता है? मुंबई को। कब हमारा स्टेट गवर्नमेंट हमें डिसेंट्रलाइज करेगा? गांधी बोलते ये टॉप डाउन मॉडल हुआ। आई वांटेड, यानी कि गांधी वांटेड बॉटम अप। इसीलिए तो डेमोक्रेसी को बोलते हैं, को बोलते हैं। नेचर, लास्ट 2 पॉइंट्स। ओके, व्हाट इज द फंक्शन ऑफ स्टेट? फंक्शन बोलिए उसको और रोल बोलिए। और लास्ट वाला पॉइंट, व्हाट इज द आइडियल स्टेट? दैट इज अनदर एस्पेक्ट। सो लास्ट 3, फंक्शन एंड रोल क्या है और आइडियल क्या है। अभी मैंने लॉ के बारे में आपको बताया कि स्टेट इज एस्टैब्लिश्ड, स्टेट इज क्रिएटेड बाय ह्यूमन बीइंग फॉर व्हाट पर्पस? प्रिजर्वेशन ऑफ 3 नेचुरल राइट्स, लाइफ, लिबर्टी एंड प्रॉपर्टी। एक आंसर हमें मिला उसमें। ओके, दूसरा, आइडियल स्टेट का आइडिया तकरीबन हर एक फिलोसोफर ने, हर एक थिंकर ने सामने रखा है। सो प्लेटो हैड इट्स ओन कंसेप्ट ऑफ, उस कंसेप्ट का नाम ही आइडियल स्टेट है। एरिस्टोटल, पॉलिटी जिसको बोला गया है, मिक्स्ड काइंड ऑफ स्टेट था, उसको उन्होंने, वो आइडियल शब्द इस्तेमाल नहीं करते हैं, बेस्ट स्टेट एरिस्टोटल ने कहा है। ओके, अगर अपने मार्क्स, कार्ल मार्क्स, वो वेस्टर्न थिंकर भी है और उनका आइडियोलॉजी भी है, उनके थॉट के ऊपर जो आता है मार्क्सिज्म जिसको बोला जाता है, तो उनका आइडियल स्टेट तो उन्हें नहीं कहा, लेकिन आइडियल ऑर्डर कहा है उन्होंने, और उसका नाम है कम्युनिज्म। और कम्युनिज्म इज दैट सोशल ऑर्डर विच इज नोन फॉर क्लासलेस, ओके, विच इज नोन एज अ क्लासलेस सोसाइटी एंड अ स्टेटलेस सोसाइटी। अब ये कितना सरप्राइजिंग है, देखिए कि मार्क्स के हिसाब से, मार्क्सिज्म के हिसाब से वो सोशल ऑर्डर आइडियल है जहां पे क्लासेस नहीं होंगे और स्टेट भी नहीं होगा। दैट इज द आइडियल स्टेट। ओके, सो आई गेस दिस इज मोर देन सफिशिएंट। नाउ what is the scope of PSIR? I'll be very brief as far as this point is concerned. There are 2 papers. So one is the paper 1 and there is the Pol Science paper 2, in which we have 2 sections. So one is the section A and the other is the section B. Okay. Now इस section A में आता क्या है, क्या क्या उसमें include किया गया है? So there are certain political ideas. Okay. Then there are thinkers. उसमें वेस्टर्न थिंकर भी है और इंडियन थिंकर भी है। Then there are political ideologies. Now we have political ideas such as liberty, such as equality, such as justice, so on and so forth. Okay. अब लिबर्टी क्या है, देखिए शुरू से हमने जो कहा है कि हाउ शुड वी ऑर्गेनाइज आवर कलेक्टिव लाइफ, उसका आंसर ये हो सकता है ना कि वी शुड ऑर्गेनाइज आवर कलेक्टिव लाइफ इन सच ए वे that all of us, every member of the collective life, enjoy the liberty. How should we organize our collective life? In such a way that each member should have equality. So political ideas are norms, these are principles, and these are very, very important in the subject of pol science. Okay, आप इंडियन कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन की तरफ आइए, आप प्रियम्बल पढ़िए. प्रियम्बल में आपको पता चलता है कि वी हैव committed ourselves to establishing a society characterized by justice, है ना? So justice is another very important idea. And justice का मतलब क्या है? तो justice is that idea which demands fairness. At least fairness तो होना चाहिए ना उसमें. Nobody should be discriminated against. Nobody should be denied liberty. है ना? So, but this is one thing. And the second thing, our preamble also manifests its commitment to justice in political domain sphere, लेकिन justice economic domain में भी होना चाहिए और social domain में भी होना चाहिए. So political justice, social justice, and economic justice. So in these domains, okay. So these are the ideas. And liberty, equality, justice, then idea of ideology, power, authority, legitimacy. These are the important ideas. दूसरा है, we have thinkers which are known as Western thinkers. We have Plato, Aristotle. Then we come to the modern period. We have Machiavelli. Then Hobbes, Locke, Rousseau. From 19th century, दो philosophers है famous. One is the J.S. Mill, other is the Karl Marx. And then in 20th century, we have two more thinkers. Only woman, that is Hannah Arendt and the Gramsci. As far as Indian political thought is concerned, one is the ancient tradition, जिसमें अर्थशास्त्र है, धर्मशास्त्र है, and Buddhist tradition है. And then the modern Indian political thought, जिसमें सर सैयद अहमद खां है, जिसमें श्री अरविंदो है, डॉक्टर B.R. अम्बेडकर है, गांधी जी है और M.N. रॉय है. इतने सारे थिंकर्स. अब एक सिंपल सा डिस्कशन देखिए. थिंकर्स, वेस्टर्न एज वेल एज इंडियन थिंकर्स, और उसको ये भी कहा जाता है समथिंग कॉल्ड एज पॉलिटिकल थॉट. नाउ पॉलिटिकल थॉट contains, okay, intellectual response to the existing socio-economic political conditions. Political thought contains intellectual response, okay, to the then existing prevailing socio-economic political conditions by the individual thinker. So Plato's political thought, in one sense, was a response to the conditions that Plato witnessed. प्लेटो ने जो देखा था, और एक आपको पता होगा कि Athens had witnessed a democratic revolution. Democracy as a form of government, okay, Athens में आया था. And Plato was deeply critical of democracy, क्योंकि democracy में कोई भी रूलर बन सकता है, लेकिन प्लेटो का कहना यह था, ruling, the act of ruling cannot be done, cannot be performed by anybody. It requires a specific quality. It requires reason. It requires wisdom. That is how Plato looked at the ruling, the governing as an act, as a process. Okay. So I guess that is more than sufficient. Okay. दूसरी बहुत ही इंपॉर्टेंट डेवलपमेंट प्लेटो के समय में हुई थी, सोक्रेटिस, ओके, जिनके ऊपर मुकदमा चला गया. ओके, उनके आरोप रखे गए, मुकदमा चला, जाना जाता है, उसके डिटेल्स में नहीं जाते अभी. एंड देन ही वाज गिवन टू ऑप्शंस. सो वन वाज टू टेक द हेमलॉक. ओके, व्हाट वाज दैट? इट वाज अ पॉइजन. और दूसरा था, आपके ऊपर जो चार्जेस लगाए गए हैं वो आप एक्सेप्ट कीजिए. ये दो ऑप्शंस है उसके. तो सोक्रेटिस आर्ग्यूड दैट थ्रू आउट माई लाइफ I was committed to truth. I was committed to knowledge. I was committed to wisdom. So I will never accept the wrong charges and allegations on me. Better I'll go for taking the poison hemlock. उन्होंने वो लिया, उनकी डेथ हुई. That development also deeply influenced Plato's political thinking. So Athens में डेमोक्रेसी का आना और उसी एथेंस में सोक्रेटिस की जो एक तरह से प्लेटो के टीचर थे, एंड प्लेटो वाज डीपली इन्फ्लुएंस्ड बाय सोक्रेटिक आइडिया, उनका डेथ होता है। और प्लेटो उसको डायग्नोज कैसे करते पता है आपको, कि द डेथ ऑफ सोक्रेटिस टुक प्लेस सॉर्ट ऑफ, इट वाज अ पॉलिटिकल, ओके, सीधी सादी बात नहीं थी, वो पॉलिटिकल मुकदमा था, है ना, इट वाज अ पॉलिटिकल ट्रायल। ओके, सो उन्होंने कहा कि दिस हैपेंड बिकॉज ऑफ, यानी कि एथेंस लॉस्ट अ वाइज पर्सन लाइक सोक्रेटिस बिकॉज ऑफ डेमोक्रेसी। This was one very significant development which shaped deeply Plato's political thinking. So, अब देखिए, कार्ल मार्क्स 19th सेंचुरी में आपका थॉट रखते हैं। Now, what were the conditions of 19th century? Capitalism was established as a economic system. It had become deeply exploitative of the class of workers. Okay, and Karl Marx underlines the exploitation which was taking place in 19th century capitalism, and respond to that capitalist exploitation, misery, inequality in a very critical manner. And that is how Marxism, यानी कि मार्क्स की political ideas और thought सामने आता है, and that is how we have political thought of Karl Marx, and Marx, that is Karl Marx as the thinker, वो बहुत ही critical आइडियाज हमारे सामने रखते हैं। सो दिस इज नाउ गांधी। नाउ गांधीयन पॉलिटिकल थिंकिंग वाज पुट फॉरवर्ड इन द कॉन्टेक्स्ट ऑफ कॉलोनियलिज्म। 20th सेंचुरी में उनकी आइडियाज आती है ना सामने, तो कॉन्टेक्स्ट क्या था, एग्जिस्टिंग सोशियो इकोनॉमिक कंडीशंस क्या थी, तो वी वेर अंडर अ फॉरेन रूल, एंड इट वाज नॉट जस्ट अ फॉरेन रूल, इट वाज अ कॉलोनियल रूल। सो thinkers and political thought in one sense is rooted in the existing social, political and economic conditions. So एक context उसको होता है, लेकिन context के आगे जाने का, उसके beyond जाने का capacity potential भी उस political thought में होता है। इसीलिए तो हम प्लेटो की पढ़ाई आज क्यों करते हैं, आफ्टर 2200 years के बाद भी हम प्लेटो पढ़ते हैं, अरिस्टोटल की पढ़ाई करते हैं। ओके, मार्क्स 19th सेंचुरी में आए थे, जेएस मिल उसी वक्त थे, तो ये पढ़ाई क्यों करते हैं, बिकॉज देयर इज समथिंग दैट वी गेट टू लर्न फ्रॉम देयर पॉलिटिकल थॉट इवन इन 21st सेंचुरी, है ना, दैट इज द peculiarity. Then we have political ideology. Political ideologies are nothing but, simply speaking, the way in which we look at the collective life. हमारा collective life कैसे हमें organize करना है, तो पॉल साइंस में वी हैव डिफरेंट आइडियोलॉजीज, सच एज लिबरलिज्म इज वन आइडियोलॉजी, सोशलिज्म इज अनदर आइडियोलॉजी, ओके, मार्क्सिज्म इज अनदर आइडियोलॉजी, fascism which came into being in 20th century, another ideology, Gandhism also another ideology, and importantly feminism. So liberalism, socialism, Marxism, fascism, feminism and Gandhism, these are different lenses, कि एक लेंस है, एक चश्मा है वो, और चश्मे से होता क्या है मुझे बताइए, वी अंडरस्टैंड वर्ल्ड, वी ट्राई टू मेक सेंस ऑफ वर्ल्ड। फॉर व्हाट पर्पस डू वी सीक टू अंडरस्टैंड द वर्ल्ड, वांट टू अंडरस्टैंड द वर्ल्ड, वी वांट टू मेक इट बेटर, उसमें हमें चेंज करने का हमारा प्रयास होता है। सो आइडियोलॉजीज, सो दिस एंड अगेन दिस इज अ वेरी कोर पार्ट ऑफ द पॉलिटिकल साइंस। सेक्शन बी में, जिसको शॉर्ट फॉर्म हम बताएंगे इंडियन गवर्नमेंट एंड पॉलिटिक्स, ओके, तो वो शुरू ही सेक्शन होता है विद द कॉलोनियल गवर्नमेंट या कॉलोनियल रूल, कि जिसमें मॉडर्न इंडियन हिस्ट्री के 2 चैप्टर्स है, और उसके बाद उस आईजीपी में वी हैव आवर कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन, यानी कि इंडियन कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन, देन द इम्प्लीमेंटेशन ऑफ इंडियन कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन फ्रॉम 1950 टिल डेट, and the most important aspect of IGP is something known as the political process, the role of caste in Indian politics, the party system in India, the role of class, role of gender, role of ethnicity, role of regionalism, social movements, so on and so forth. So हम उसको सिंपल सी भाषा में क्या बोल सकते हैं, कि ये जो हम सेक्शन ए में थियोरेटिकल पार्ट जो पॉल साइंस का माना जाता है, वो जो पढ़ने वाले हैं, उसका इंडियन कॉन्टेक्स्ट में पढ़ाई होने वाला है। सो दिस इज अ पर्टिकुलर स्पेसिफिक इंडियन कॉन्टेक्स्ट व्हिच इज therefore the title of section B from paper A of Paul Science is Indian government and politics, यानी कि वो स्पेसिफिक एरिया हमें पढ़ना है। Then in paper 2 similarly, I'm not going to go into the details of paper 2. ऐसे ही 2 sections है. और section A of paper 2, comparative politics, ideas in IR, that is international relations, theories of international relations, then organization and issues, as far as the paper 2 is concerned. So comparative politics का मतलब क्या है? सिंपल सी भाषा में, studying any political phenomena. It can be a party, it can be a pressure group, it can be a form of government, it can be a particular public office, let us say president in USA, president in India. उसका कंपैरेटिव स्टडी करना है. सो वी कंपेयर करते हैं, मतलब करते क्या है हम कंपैरेटिव मेथड में? तो एक सिंपल सी बात है, वी ट्राई टू आइडेंटिफाई द सिमिलैरिटीज एंड वी ऑल्सो ट्राई टू गेट टू नो द डिसिमिलैरिटीज. है ना? डिफरेंसेस क्या है? हमें नेचुरली कंपेयर करने की आदत ही है. 2 इंसानों में कंपेयर करते हैं, 2 सोसाइटीज में हम कंपेयर करते हैं, लेकिन पॉल साइंस में उसका एक अलग अहमियत है. इट हैज इट्स ओन सिग्निफिकेंस. Why do we compare our case with any other case? So that we can get to know as to what are the similarities and what are the differences. ये तो है, लेकिन दूसरी एक बहुत अहम बात है. It is by comparing ourselves with others, yeah, one thing with the others, we can get to know the best practices from around the world. है ना? ये बहुत ही इंपॉर्टेंट बात होती है. Okay, so that is very important part of the section A of paper 2. Ideas, national interest, foreign policy, diplomacy, power, national power, ऐसी बहुत ही इंपॉर्टेंट आइडियाज पेपर 2 के सिलेबस में सेक्शन ए में है. थियरीज ऑफ आईआर, जैसे यहां थियोरेटिकल पार्ट है, तो वहां भी रियलिज्म, आइडियलिज्म, मार्क्सिज्म, फंक्शनलिज्म एंड सिस्टम थियरी. These are the 5 very important theories which are known as the theories of IR. And last 2 things from section A of paper 2, international and regional organizations. We have UN, United Nations Organization, and then regional organizations such as EU, ASEAN, then African Union, okay, earlier NAFTA, so on and so forth. And last point from section A of paper 2 is the global issues, yeah, global concerns, democracy, gender, environment, terrorism, okay. These are some of the global issues. These are not only national issues and concerns. These are not only regional issues and concerns, but these are known as the global concerns. यानी कि वो जो समस्या है, वो जो कंसर्न है, तो वो खाली एक कंट्री को, एक कॉन्टिनेंट को फेस नहीं कर रहा है. सॉरी, एक कॉन्टिनेंट फेस नहीं कर रहा है, लेकिन वो कंसर्न, वो चिंता, वो इशू सब वर्ल्ड के लिए, इसीलिए उसको बोला जाता है ग्लोबल कंसर्न्स. सो उसमें डेमोक्रेसी है, ह्यूमन राइट्स है, टेररिज्म है, सो एंड सो फोर्थ. एंड देन यू हैव सेक्शन बी ऑफ पेपर 2. उसमें इंडिया एंड वर्ल्ड ही नाम है. जैसे यहाँ क्या है देखिए, पर्टिकुलर स्पेसिफिक इंडियन डायमेंशन, दैट इज इंडियन गवर्नमेंट एंड पॉलिटिक्स. वैसे पेपर 2 के सेक्शन बी में क्या है, इंडिया एंड वर्ल्ड या इंडियाज फॉरेन पॉलिसी. सो इंडिया का फॉरेन पॉलिसी क्या है, कैसे इवॉल्व हुआ है, उसके प्रिंसिपल्स क्या है, नंबर 1. दूसरा है इंडिया एंड नेबरहुड, इंडिया एंड एक्सटेंडेड नेबरहुड, इंडिया एंड मेजर पावर्स फ्रॉम अक्रॉस द वर्ल्ड, इंडिया एंड ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस इंक्लूडिंग यूएन, एंड इंडिया एंड ग्लोबल इश्यूज. इसीलिए उसका टाइटल किया गया है इंडिया एंड वर्ल्ड. ओके, सो दिस इज ब्रॉडली द सिलेबस ऑफ पॉल साइंस. अब लास्ट की तरफ आते हैं. इस सब्जेक्ट की क्या प्रोज और कॉन्स है? जैसे हम बोलते हैं ना कि व्हाट आर द मेरिट्स एंड व्हाट आर द डिमेरिट्स, इवैल्यूएशन कैसे कर सकते हैं. अब देखिए, अब पहले उसका जिक्र करते हैं, व्हाट आर द इश्यूज. तो उसको इशू कहना चाहिए या नहीं कहना चाहिए, यू कैन डिसाइड अबाउट दैट. बट एज फार एज द स्कोप ऑफ सिलेबस इज कंसर्न, स्कोप ऑफ सिलेबस, ओके, वो ब्रॉड है. ऐसा नहीं कि बहुत प्रिसाइज सिलेबस है. इट हैज गॉट अ कॉम्प्रिहेंसिव सिलेबस. ओके, बड़ा सिलेबस है. दूसरी बात है, देयर आर लॉट ऑफ कॉन्सेप्ट्स एंड आइडियाज, ओके, और उसका कॉन्सेप्चुअल एटमोस्ट क्लैरिटी आपके पास होना चाहिए. सो अ डीप कॉन्सेप्चुअल अंडरस्टैंडिंग. ओके. तीसरी बात है, there is lot of theoretical part या मैटर बोलिए उसको। ओके, अब थियरी का मतलब क्या होता है? किसी भी साइंस में भी थियरी होती है ना, कंप्यूटर साइंस में भी थियरी है, हर जगह थियरी है, पॉल साइंस में भी थियरी है। तो थियोरेटिकल पार्ट is that part of the subject matter of pol science where we we understand political phenomena, something which is political, in a very systematic manner, है ना। प्लेटो उनकी तरह करते हैं, एरिस्टोटल उनकी तरह करते हैं, मार्क्स उनके हिसाब से करते हैं, जेएस मिल उनके हिसाब से करते हैं, गांधी उनके हिसाब से करते हैं। सो वी हैव so many theoretical ways of understanding political phenomena in a systematic manner. एक थियरी नहीं है। वी हैव लिबरल थियरी, वी हैव सोशलिस्ट थियरी, वी हैव मार्क्सिस्ट थियरी, वी हैव फेमिनिस्ट थियरी। अलग अलग उसके चश्मे हैं, सिंपल सी भाषा में। लेकिन ये चश्मा कोई प्रिजुडाइज पे बेस नहीं होना चाहिए। इसीलिए तो थियरी का एक सिंपल डेफिनेशन क्या कहा जाता है? अंडरस्टैंडिंग पॉलिटिक्स इन अ सिस्टमैटिक मैनर, इन एन ऑब्जेक्टिव मैनर, सब्जेक्टिव मैनर नहीं है। मेरी पसंद है, मेरी नापसंद है, दैट डजंट मैटर फॉर पॉलिटिकल थियरी। वो मुझे बाजू रखना है उसको। सो टू लुक एट पॉलिटिकल फिनोमेना, पॉलिटिकल मैटर एज ऑब्जेक्टिवली एज पॉसिबल, ओके, नॉट सब्जेक्टिवली। सो वो पार्ट भी बहुत सारा है उसमें। उसको जोड़ के आप बोल सकते हो कि पॉल साइंस इन्वॉल्व्स लॉट ऑफ थिंकर्स एंड देयर लॉट ऑफ आइडियाज। ओके, ये भी उसमें शायद आपको कंसर्न लग सकता है कि जो कॉन्स में मैंने लिखा है, ओके, सो दैट वी कैन हैव अटमोस्ट क्लैरिटी अबाउट या व्हाइल चूजिंग पॉल साइंस। इसमें ये बात क्या है जो इंपॉर्टेंट बात है, पॉल साइंस की, सॉरी, खुद की एक बहुत ही स्पेसिफिक ऐसी टर्मिनोलॉजी है। जैसे हम यूजुअल कलोकियल इनफॉर्मल लैंग्वेज में बात करते हैं, वी आर नॉट एक्सपेक्टेड टू फॉलो दैट, रादर वी शुड डेवलप द टर्मिनोलॉजी ऑफ पीएसआईआर। पीएसआईआर की खुद की टर्मिनोलॉजी है। ओके, जो शब्द, जो टर्म, जो आइडिया, जो कॉन्सेप्ट जहां पे इस्तेमाल करना है आपको, वहीं पे करना चाहिए। उसका हर एक कॉन्सेप्ट का कुछ ना कुछ तो मतलब है। ओके, सो देयरफॉर वी हैव टू बी वेरी केयरफुल। सो इट इज अ बिट चैलेंजिंग बट वी हैव टू टेक केयर ऑफ दैट। ओके, लास्ट वाला जो है, शायद किसी को लग सकता है कि पॉल साइंस में आपको करंट और जिसको हम कंटेम्पररी बोलते हैं, उसकी भी आपको पढ़ाई करनी पड़ती है। करंट एंड कंटेम्पररी डायमेंशन ऑफ पॉल साइंस, स्पेशली आईजीपी में आपको करंट का ख्याल रखना पड़ेगा, और इंडिया एंड वर्ल्ड में। और जो पेपर 2 का सेक्शन ये है, जहां पे इंटरनेशनल ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस की आपको पढ़ाई करनी है, इश्यूज की पढ़ाई करनी है। सो इफ समथिंग हैपेंस इन रिगार्ड विद एनवायरमेंट, ह्यूमन राइट्स, डेमोक्रेसी, टेररिज्म, तो उसका करंट कंटेम्पररी का ख्याल आपको रखना पड़ता है। और ये दिस इज नॉट फ्रॉम द पर्सपेक्टिव ऑफ जीएस, बट दिस इज फ्रॉम द पर्सपेक्टिव ऑफ पॉल साइंस। और पॉल साइंस के बारे में कभी भी सोचते वक्त वो मत भूलिए, जिसमें हमने थोड़ा समय इन्वेस्ट किया था शुरू में, कि हाउ वी ऑर्गेनाइज आवर कलेक्टिव लाइफ। ओके, ये बहुत ही इंपॉर्टेंट है उसमें। ओके, तो जिसको ब्रॉडली आप बोल सकते हो कि सिलेबस ज्यादा बड़ा है। अब देखिए कि हिस्ट्री का सिलेबस, सोशियोलॉजी का सिलेबस, एंथ्रो का सिलेबस, ज्योग्राफी का सिलेबस और पॉल साइंस का सिलेबस मेरे ख्याल से इक्वल है। वो प्रिसाइज छोटे वाले सिलेबस वाले सब्जेक्ट नहीं है। सो लेट अस बी वेरी क्लियर अबाउट दैट। कॉन्सेप्ट्स एंड आइडियाज, वी हैव गॉट लॉट ऑफ कॉन्सेप्ट्स एंड आइडियाज। किसी को वो डिफिकल्ट लग सकते हैं। थियोरेटिकल पर्सपेक्टिव्स, थियोरेटिकल पार्ट मैटर, वो भी ज्यादा है। ओके, और टर्मिनोलॉजी जो है, लैंग्वेज जिसको बोलते हैं, कि लैंग्वेज पीएसआईआर की होनी चाहिए, और शुरू से आपको उसका ख्याल रखना चाहिए। अदरवाइज दिस में सीम अ कॉन्स, अ प्रॉब्लम, आपको चैलेंज लग सकता है। ओके, उसको प्रिकॉशन भी कहिए, बट मैंने वैसे ही जेनरिक तरीके से उसको कॉन्स में। अब उसके प्रोज बेनिफिट्स क्या है? अब एक तो देखिए कि इट ओवरलैप्स विथ जीएस2। जीएस2 का जो सिलेबस आपका है, तो उसमें आपको बहुत ही सहायता पॉल साइंस के मिलने वाली है। डोंट वरी अबाउट दैट, इट ओवरलैप्स विद जीएस2। दूसरा है जीएस1 में आपको, अब सिलेबस चेकआउट कीजिए। इन जीएस1 इन सोसाइटी यू हैव रीजनलिज्म, you have colonialism, you have secularism. And these topics are those topics which are core of Indian government and politics. So it also overlaps with few topics of Indian society as part of the syllabus. Okay. और एक है GS4 में, यानी कि इथिक्स में आपको उसकी बहुत सारी मदद मिलेगी. Because in Pol Science, you will be studying concepts and ideas and thinkers, Western thinkers as well as Indian thinkers who overlap with, जिनके ideas overlap होती है GS4 में. ये उसके फायदे हैं. Okay. Then most important, equally importantly, आपको फायदा होगा उसका essay में, undoubtedly. Okay. और अंत में यही पे मैं लिखूंगा, इंटरव्यू में आपको उसकी भी मदद बहुत सारी होने वाली है. ये उसके फायदे हैं. लेकिन बिफोर आई कंक्लूड दिस सेशन, इवन इफ देयर आर सर्टन कॉन्स, यानी कि चैलेंजेस बोलते हैं उसको, एंड इवन इफ देयर आर सर्टन बेनिफिट्स ऑफ द प्रोज ऑफ पॉल साइंस, what you should think about before you take any decision about that is this word: interest and your comfort. Okay, so if you want to think about Pol Science as your optional, then please do look into the syllabus, number one. Number two, at least 5 years previous year question papers, maybe from 2020 to 25, just to have an idea. Okay, once you select Pol Science as your optional, then you are going to get back to 2000. So 2000 से लेकर 25 तक आपको PYQs देखने हैं. So look into the syllabus of Pol Science, paper 1, paper 2, 2 बार पढ़िए. दूसरा, PYQs 5 साल के इनिशियली देखिए. Number 3, read 2 NCRTs of 11th standard. One is the Constitution at Work and the other is the Political Theory. Okay. So political theory में पहला चैप्टर political theory का है और उसके बाद liberty, equality, ये टॉपिक्स है जो पॉल साइंस में आइडियाज के तौर पे आते हैं. तो वो आप देख सकते हो. ओके, एंड देन यू कैन डिसाइड, क्रॉस चेक, assess whether you are interested in this subject or not. And whatever we have been discussing, that would also help you a lot. डिस्कशन से थोड़ा ना थोड़ा तो आपको पता चलेगा कि क्या हम पॉल साइंस में पढ़ने वाले हैं. 2-3 एग्जाम्पल्स भी मैंने इलस्ट्रेशन के तौर पे आपके सामने रखे थे. तो यू कैन ट्राई टू गेज दैट. अगर आपको न्यूज़पेपर पढ़ते समय पॉलिटिकल इवेंट्स में इंटरेस्ट है, इंटरनेशनल इवेंट्स में इंटरेस्ट है, तो उसका मतलब है कि यू हैव गॉट द राइट टेम्परामेंट एंड द एप्टीट्यूड which is going to help you a lot in choosing, in selecting Pol Science and thereby ascertaining the fact that you are interested in Pol Science. So आपका इंटरेस्ट और आपका कंफर्ट बहुत ही अहम होने वाला है. देन एंड देन ओनली इसका कोई मायना है. अदरवाइज उसका कोई मतलब नहीं है. भले पॉल साइंस के बहुत सारे बेनिफिट्स होते होंगे, लेकिन इफ यू आर नॉट इंटरेस्टेड, किसी ने बताया है, बाकी लोग लेते हैं, वो उसका क्राइटेरिया, पैरामीटर बिल्कुल नहीं होना चाहिए. सो प्लीज, दिस वुड बी माय हम्बल रिक्वेस्ट टू ऑल ऑफ यू टू चेक आउट द सिलेबस, previous year question papers, read those 2 NCRTs and cross check your interest and comfort in Pol Science. Number 1. Number 2, having said this, there are students who are interested in Pol Science but come from non-Pol Science background. यानी कि जिन्होंने इंजीनियरिंग किया है, कोई प्रोफेशनल कोर्स किया है, कि जो ह्यूमैनिटी वाला नहीं है. You shouldn't be worried about that. अगर आपने ट्रैक रिकॉर्ड देखा as far as our institute is concerned, okay, 3 या 4 बार ह्यूमैनिटी बैकग्राउंड वाले पॉल साइंस के यहां से टॉपर हुए हैं, बाकी सभी इंजीनियर से. सो यू डोंट वरी अबाउट दैट. इवन इफ यू डू नॉट हैव पॉल साइंस बैकग्राउंड, है ना, आपको लग सकता है कि देयर आर नंबर ऑफ आइडियाज, नंबर ऑफ थिंकर्स, नंबर ऑफ स्कॉलर्स, कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल प्रोसेस. सो इज इट दैट इट रिक्वायर्स पॉल साइंस बैकग्राउंड एज फार एज योर ग्रेजुएशन इज कंसर्न? ऐसा लगता होगा आपको, बट दैट इज नॉट इसेंशियल. अगेन आई विल से, just cross check your interest and comfort. Baki, the last point, what do we do here at the Unique Academy? हम यहाँ पे क्या करते हैं? That is also equally important. What do we offer as an institution? तो पहला तो है उसमें डिटेल क्लासरूम डिस्कशन है उसका. You don't worry about that. We start from scratch. We start from zero. We assume that you know nothing about anything because this is done for the sake of convenience. आपको पता होता है, no doubt about that. Okay, so but still, for sake of convenience, that we make it a point to start from zero, from scratch, so that you can better understand each and everything right from zero with a clean slate. So classroom discussions are very detailed. Okay, number one, those classroom discussions are, and I'm very proud to say that these are very, very interactive. यानी कि it's not that it is a kind of a monologue. So faculty आती है, बोलती है, पढ़ाती है और निकल के जाती है. That is not how we conduct classroom discussion. We discuss everything in detail. We encourage students to think critically and raise questions and make it a point to ask them and clarify those questions. We encourage, because Pol Science में वो बहुत important है. Pol Science demands from you sort of what? Critical thinking ability. All of us have critical thinking ability, but do we put that to use? Do we develop that? That is what matters ultimately when it comes to subject like Pol Science. So detailed classroom discussions होते हैं, then interactive classroom discussion होता है. So you shouldn't be worried about that. You can ask any damn query. You shouldn't be worried about that. That is how we encourage students. पहला है. दूसरा है study material. Okay, now what do we do here is the class note, उसका एक important form है. Okay, उसमें current का भी मटेरियल होता है, करंट नोट्स भी होते हैं. और तीसरा जो मैंने आपको दिखाया, ये आईजीपी का क्वेश्चन आंसर का वॉल्यूम है. ओके, आप यू कैन चेक आउट द क्वालिटी ऑफ द मटेरियल हियर एंड यू कैन कंपेयर दिस मटेरियल, दिस बुक, विथ एनी डैम थिंग. ओके, दिस इज a very well researched. Okay, these are the volumes. So volume 1, volume 2, and there is one more volume. Okay, volume 3. So you shouldn't be worried about. So ये तीसरा जो हमने कहा है ना कि PSIR through question and answers. इसके 3 volumes हैं. You can fully rely on these volumes, and students from across India have been using these volumes. You can just cross check anywhere else. You can look into that. So study material, undoubtedly. The third thing, which is very important, and again we take pride in sharing that, we conduct a very meticulous test series. On our social media channels, you can check out the way in which we assess the paper. And before the test series is taken up, we assist students in developing the effective writing skill. And when it comes to subject like Pol Science, which requires its own terminology, the writing as an ability, effective writing as an ability becomes critically important. वो बहुत अहमियत रखता है. इसीलिए what is a good piece of writing, how to develop that ability, how to develop PSIR terminology. So we assist in every department as far as this writing and presentation is concerned. So और दूसरा उसका, as and when you write questions, and we do encourage students to write question and answers, and we make it a point to assess those answers as critically as possible, from the language and articulation perspective, from the content perspective, and even from the presentation perspective. So tests and your answers are assessed very critically. Okay, 3. And 4th जो है, जिसको मैं सिंपल सी भाषा में कहूंगा, इंडिविजुअल मेंटोरशिप. क्योंकि देखिए कि क्लास इज अ कलेक्टिव गैदरिंग. सो वी शेयर, वी डिस्कस, ओके, we put forward certain tips, no doubt about that, but that is for the whole class. But students do come from different backgrounds, and they may be finding certain things, even simplest of the simple thing, may be a bit difficult. So therefore, we believe in encouraging them and approach the faculty, share any doubt with them, okay, and get it clarified. So it's not that we believe in something called as one size fits all. Every individual is a peculiar individual. Every individual has her own background, okay, and depending upon that, we make it a point to guide him or her, and that is called as the individual mentorship. So this is it, what we have been doing in Unique Academy in last 20 years as far as the subject of political science is concerned, and we have been doing this even for the other optionals. So we have history, we have geography, we have sociology, we have anthropology, so on and so forth, public administration, so on and so forth. So this is it as far as pol science is concerned. So let me stop here. If in case you have any difficulty, you can make it a point to ask me. And again, one last thing, we are going to have a similar webinar in Marathi on coming Sunday. ओके, ये इंग्लिश में था, थोड़ा मैंने बीच में हिंदी बोला, थोड़ा मराठी में भी मैंने आपको आपके साथ इंटरैक्ट किया, लेकिन primarily this was conducted in because this was meant to be so for the English medium students. That's it. Thank you. If in case you have doubt, तुम्हाला काही डाऊट असतील तर तुम्ही विचारू शकता.